Hey, Kate, lovely Kate. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
It's the beginning of 2022 at the moment, so we're starting a fresh new year.
We are.
It's really, really exciting to be able to chat with you. And yeah, I wanted to start off by asking, how is business going?
Business is good. Business is great. In fact, we've got a big new opportunity that's coming up at the end of this month. So yeah, we're starting this year with a bang.
Yeah, I feel like you want to burst into laughter.
I feel like I want to burst into laughter because it's so different than the start of last year when we started working together, when my head was just in a complete mess and I didn't know what to do. So yeah, starting this year, feeling this good is yeah, it's good. It's a transformation.
Yeah, I actually want to just ask you something that's not related to your business and you'll totally know the answer to this straight away. But for those people who are starting a fresh new year with all this hope and optimism and excitement, but then there's this other little voice that's like, ooh, are you sure this is going to be your year? What would you say to those people who are in conflict at the moment?
Oh, it's going to be your year. It is going to be your year. I think, do you know what? I'm actually not one for New Year's resolutions at all. I think that they can do more damage than good because you set your expectations up here, and then you kind of almost set yourself up for a fall. So I actually think that the New Year is a great time for reflection on
Mhm.
maybe what's happened, and it's good to know where you want to go. Um, but yeah, I think putting like a to-do list. I'm not one for a to-do list, like must do this, must eat healthier, must exercise more, setting yourself up for failure. So having intentions, great, but yeah, no, I think it's all about the power of your mind and working on your self-confidence and manifestations, all that good stuff.
Yeah, love it, love it. So when we first met, you were amazing as you are now, but in your own words, how would you describe what was going on for you? And obviously share what feels comfortable for you, but how would you describe where you were when we first met?
Yeah, I think when we first met, thank you for saying I was amazing, but I was certainly at a point of which I now know I was at the beginning of a transformation, but we had, as you know, we had to do a lot of work for me to be able to call it that rather than just saying I'm in complete overwhelm, crisis, don't know what the hell's going on with my life, don't know what the hell's going on with my business. So no, I was at the point of starting my transformation and really finding myself. I think I'm 42, so I feel like I've done that typical midlife crisis type thing. Like, what do I want from the rest of my life? What do I want from my career? And what I knew I didn't want is what was how I was feeling. I felt under a lot of pressure. The world was on my shoulders, felt overwhelmed, stressed, and just didn't know how to get out of that cycle at all. So that's where I
Mm.
was when we
Yeah,
first met.
tell me a bit. So for anyone watching this, tell me about the brand. Tell us about the brand and what your role is within it.
Yeah, so the brand is Sea Magic. We are a spa self-care brand based on the healing power of mineral salts. I'm the founder, but my father was the original inventor back in 1981. So he had the original idea of infusing this salt water into skincare products, which it seems fairly commonplace now to be like putting mud on our face or putting salt in our bath. But when my father first did it, there was no such scene, if you like. So his idea came from his childhood. He had a salt lake behind his house. My grandmother used to take him there every day for bathing in the salts. They didn't really believe in going to the doctor. They kind of had this very holistic view of how to live life. So yeah, fast forward 40 years, I'm the CEO and founder of Sea Magic. We're kind of a conscious brand with clean, I guess you would class us as clean beauty. And my role is varying from being the kind of spokesperson, founder of the brand, right through to the nitty gritty of the operations, product development, formulating, all the hats, Jodie, as you know, which are too many hats for one person. So yeah, that's who we are.
I love hearing you talk about that story. There's something so this is a weird word to use, but like seductive in the way that you share that story, because I think, you know, it's such a beautiful like we call it like an origination story, right? Or a heritage story. It's such a beautiful story when you talk about your dad and how ahead of the curve he was and how much of a pioneer and an innovator he was. And now it's like, you know, it's funny because I've told you this a few times, but you are one of those brands that I could be literally getting my nails done in London by this super high flying nails technician. And suddenly she sees a box or a bottle or you know, at the moment I'm using the super serum oil like every day, and she'll see that on my shelf and she'd be like, oh my God, that's Sea Magic. That's like my favorite brand ever. And that would happen so often when we were working together, and I hadn't heard of you guys before we met. But it was, you've got such a cult following, you know, like there's this like cult following of like super fans who have been using the products for years and who just love the product. So it was really interesting when I started working with you, and then that obviously that opportunity opened up for people to come in and be like, oh yeah, we know this brand and da 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 da. So it was really interesting actually how that opened up and developed.
Yeah, and I think when we first started working together, I was almost apologetic, which seems ridiculous. I was almost apologetic about the brand and the success and, you know, all that Britishness, or I'm sorry, I'm so successful as a family business. And so I think that was part of the issue, is me being able to step into, you know, being proud of who I am, the company heritage, what we do, and being able to shout about it in much the same way that I'm sure you would be really proud of, you know, Sea Magic. You'd be like, oh, it's an amazing brand. Like, I don't know. It's one of the things that we obviously worked on.
Yeah, absolutely. So how did I help you during our time together? I know there's like, probably lots of different things, but in your own words, how would you put it into words?
I think what was really important for me, I wasn't looking for a coach, just so you know, I wasn't actually actively looking for a coach. And one of my very good friends had worked with you and thoroughly recommended you. And I'd heard a lot about this Jodie, and I hadn't really thought about it in the context of me or my business, but I really admired her. And I was like, okay, tell me more about Jodie. And I looked you up and I was like, oh, that sounds good to me, like a conscious business coach. I'm not sure. I'm not going to get your marketing right, Jodie. I'm sorry. Conscious business coach, someone who can work, you know, on the business, but also on me and my role in the business. And that's how it kind of came about. So it was word of mouth recommendation from somebody who I really admired, and I really admired her business. And then I had all the head stuff, because I was like, oh, can I spend this money on me? Can we afford it? Da, 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 all the head stuff. And I spoke to my friend, and she was like, look, I engaged Jodie at the time when the business had no money. And I was like, what? It's like, do people do that? Do people take that kind of risk? Because to me, I hadn't even realized I was risk averse. You know, that was something that actually came out of the process, that I'm actually quite risk averse and quite reticent and hesitant to spend money on my self-development. And I think I remember saying to you, oh, do you think I should pay for it as opposed to the business? And you were like, no, this is business coaching. And so that's kind of how it came about. And I don't know if you remember me saying to you, but even the process of signing up to work together just felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders. Before we'd even done any work, I was like, oh my God, I've invested in myself. I've invested in my business. I've taken that step to actually change things that I know that I want to change, work on me, work on getting me out of the way of some of these kind of business decisions. And yeah, so even step one, I was like, I knew instinctively, my gut, my intuition, which we talked a lot about over the time when we worked together, I just really felt I connected to my gut and my intuition. I was like, yes, we need to work together. And that was without knowing exactly what we were going to work on. So yeah.
Awesome. So how did I support you? How did I help you? And what sorts of results did you see?
So I think from both sides. So from a personal point of view, we needed to do a bit of work on me first because I'm leading the business. So as I said, I needed to get out of the way, get all my head stuff out of the way. So we needed to work on my self-confidence in how incredible the business is, how incredible the opportunities are for the business. So first step was kind of working on that, working on the mindset side. So I was convinced that we had something saleable. And I think there's a lot of times when I was kind of back and forth with you, like, these are all the things I'm worried about. And you're like, okay, don't worry about it. I've got you. And then on the business side, I think by doing that mindset work on me, it made me so open to opportunities and I didn't feel as much fear. So I'm not a natural salesperson, or maybe I am, but I got in touch with a company, potential sales prospect that I'd been thinking about and sort of loosely working on for probably nearly 10 years. I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to get in contact with them, get my Jodie on, get in contact with them. And I did it. I did that a few times. And lo and behold, they came back to me. This is after 10 years of wanting to work with them. And just as we were finishing working together, that came about. So we manifested a 6-figure deal in.
Absolutely.
I mean, and to be honest, I didn't, when I first took you on as a coach, it wasn't really about money, or I didn't think it was about money. I thought it was about mindset. But look how it translated. It translated into money. Work on your mindset and the money comes.
Absolutely. And like we said, I've no doubt that door's just going to keep opening because you're so embodying who you are now and embodying the brand, and who knows what the future's going to hold. But it's certainly, I say a lot. I'll just say this one thing, and I think you'll agree, hopefully, but your business is this vehicle for your own transformation, isn't it? And it takes you through these doors. And I was listening to a podcast yesterday about exactly what I just said. And I've been saying that for ages, but it's like the door opened, this 6-figure opportunity appeared. Then you have to grow into the person that receives that. Then something else will appear. Then you have to grow into that person who receives that opportunity. And it's just this, it's just this ongoing growth that the business takes you on.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, even when the opportunity came, there was still work that we needed to do for me to stay completely open to that opportunity and not be fearful that, will it happen, won't it happen, all the stuff that goes through your head even when it's a really positive opportunity. In my head, it's still like all that brings up different fears and different things that we need to work on. So yeah, I think a lot of the work that we did was about just remaining open to these opportunities, not keeping things small all the time, or not feeling like either I personally or the business is stuck where it's at. We've got the opportunity to grow as big as we want. And so yeah, that was a huge learning for me. And still, even now, I kind of go back to your words a lot. Like, even okay, what would Jodie say to me about this situation? So it's been super helpful.
It's funny. Thank you for that. What do you think makes me unique in what I do and how I teach?
I think for me, I mean, I've not got huge experience with lots of different business coaches, but what I will say is I felt fully supported from day one, and I hadn't even realized that that's what I needed. I just felt like you had my back. So I think it didn't feel for me corporate at all. It didn't feel like this was purely about business. It felt like it was really about me. It was about me, not even just as a business leader. This was like a mind, body, soul experience for me. I felt completely supported. I felt like you got it. I felt like you understood the connection between me being in the right place from a mindset point of view and business success, and ultimately, you know, the money side, you know, translating that, all of that into money. And I really felt confident throughout the whole time that we worked together that this wasn't just mumbo jumbo. This wasn't just, you know, the coaching world, I think, can have quite a bad rap, if I'm honest, probably because there's good coaches and there's bad coaches, I'm sure. And I felt like right from day one, all of that stuff was lifted from the back of my head. Like in the back of my head, I was like, oh, will she be able to do what she says she's going to be able to do for the business for me? Straight away, I was like, yeah, she gets it. Like, you really got it. You got me, you got the business. And ultimately, I think the main thing was that you could help me translate that into business success and personal success. So yeah, I don't know how you're different in the sense of I can't compare to other coaches, but
that's great.
My
Thank you so much.
was amazing with you.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to say before we wrap it up?
No, I just think if there's anyone listening, thank you. If there's anyone listening that's out there like me that was really hesitant about whether coaching would be right for them and their business, in particular whether you would be right for them and their business, I would say definitely get in touch with you, because we had a very quick back and forth, and I just immediately knew that you were the right coach for me. And I think one of the things that you taught me is about connecting to my intuition, and I just knew it from day one. And the business transformation and the personal transformation has been incredible. So yeah, just do it. Just listen to your gut.
Thank you so much.